Hey friends, Tony from Tax Res Group. Today we're going to talk about something near and dear to my heart, which are the wildfires that have attacked most of Southern California and burned down some 12,000 structures. If you're a victim of this, there are many things you need to consider as you're trying to either relocate or rebuild. But today I want to talk about what the government has done for you, specifically if you're in LA County and you are a victim of these wildfires. They have moved the tax filing deadline to October 15th, not just federally, but state, which means not only do you not need to file an extension, but you don't need to pay the tax by April 15th like everybody else does. Remember that if you file an extension, that only covers your failure to file penalty. It does not cover the failure to pay penalty or interest, unless you're in LA County and a victim of these fires, then you do not have to pay anything or will receive any penalties until after October 15th. Another thing I want to talk about are property taxes. If you have a home that was damaged or destroyed in this and you are unable to live in, especially if it was destroyed, you don't have a structure on that property. I think it would behoove you to go to the county to get your property reassessed as vacant land, because that's truly what it is, which will drop your property taxes immensely. I don't know, I have not heard if the county of LA is suspending property taxes. Knowing what I know about Los Angeles, I doubt it. So if that's the case, we want to make sure to reduce as much of your expense as possible. Then there's the question of what can I deduct on my taxes for this loss? Well, that depends. You really can't do much until you get your insurance settlement, you get any FEMA help or any other remuneration. Once all that is said and done, whatever you are short may become a deduction. But that could be next year or the year after. I really can't tell you. But as of today, there's really not much you can do because you are going to get payment of some kind from somebody, and that cannot be counted as a deduction. So any insurance money you get would offset your loss. Therefore, the only thing you could receive is the difference between the loss and the insurance or whatever monies you've recovered. Records. Very, very important that you keep detailed records. Phone records, emails, etc. You're going to be calling the city, the county, the state, the coastal commission. Who knows who else you're going to be calling? Your insurance company, FEMA. You need to set up separate books, notebooks if you will, for dates, times, calls, people you spoke to, what they've told you, and for God's sake, please ask them to send it to you in writing. It does you no good if you call and Joe at FEMA said, we're going to give you $1 million. You need to get that in writing so that you can actually follow up with what they say with an action on your end. So record keeping is key, diligence is key, and I know many of you are, I just can't imagine the loss you're going through, but you need to stay focused on how to best recover for yourself. And the only way to do that is to be organized, to write down who you spoke to, what time you spoke to them, what day, what they told you, get their contact information if possible, their email address, their phone number, ask them to send you confirmation of what you discussed via email. Separate those emails so you have multiple paths that you are going down. You're not going to remember who you called or what they said. You need to make notes. And then you need to follow up on those notes to achieve the goals you want, which is, of course, getting the most financial remuneration you can to either rebuild or relocate. This is not going to be a quick process. This is not going to be an easy process. I don't care what the mayor and the governor say about red tape. You're going to have 4 or 5 different agencies that all have different rules and regulations. You've got zoning issues. You've got cleanup issues. It's endless. And there's just no way to do this smoothly. Most of you, 70% or more, probably will not go back to where you were. You'll relocate. In order to do that, you'll need as much money as possible, and you don't want to get stuck on the back end with some tax liability because you didn't ask that question. I know it's the furthest thing from your mind right now, but at some point it needs to come to the forefront of your mind so we can make sure you are not impacted after this is said and done with some huge tax bill. Insurance money, tax-free. You don't pay tax on the insurance money that you get. FEMA money, tax-free. You don't pay anything on that either. GoFundMe. Got to be careful there. If you do a GoFundMe page, the problem we have if you say, I need help to rebuild. Remember, you cannot get money from GoFundMe to help you rebuild because that will negate whatever FEMA gives you. Remember that FEMA only covers what your insurance and other means do not. So if you do a GoFundMe page that says help me rebuild, any of that money will be deducted from whatever FEMA gives you. Instead, when you do your GoFundMe, do this. We need basic living. We need food and clothing and water and towels and whatever else you need on a personal level, and have that earmarked on your GoFundMe page and people can donate to that. That is not something FEMA provides. Therefore, you can get help rebuilding when FEMA decides to cut checks to help people rebuild because you've not asked for that in your GoFundMe. Also remember that GoFundMe takes, I believe, 15%. So if you get $1,000, they're going to take $150 off of that for that service. Many of you are thinking, I'm not going to do GoFundMe. Okay, you don't have to. It's a way to get free money. Just a thought. Many of you are going to be underinsured when it comes to rebuilding because of the zoning changes. It's very important that you understand that where you bought your house and the way it was built, when it was built, some of it in the 40s and 50s, the zoning laws are completely different. And that house cannot be rebuilt the way it was without major structural and integrity changes. Again, we have to look at what happens if I don't follow the rules and I don't delegate all of this information correctly and disseminate it correctly. And then when I go to do taxes, do I have a huge liability because I was not organized? Most of my clients, the first time they come and see me, are not organized. Do not understand what attention to detail means to them at the bottom line. I'll just give you a simple example. You drive your car for business, you're self-employed. You don't keep a mileage log. All you do is look at your odometer in January, look at it in December, and say, it's about 60% of the time I drove for work. That's not a deduction. The IRS says that has to be written and very detailed. There are apps you can get on your phone that will do that. Another one are meals. Oh, I went to dinner and I spent $3,000 over the year. Where are the receipts? Oh, they're here. Who'd you go with? Oh, I forgot. Not a deduction, because you have to put down where you went, why it was a business meeting, etc. If you're not organized, you can't take advantage of the rules of the IRS. The IRS rules are straightforward. They're fairly simple, but they must be followed. In the event you're ever audited, the biggest challenge people have, they do not have documentation. So as you're figuring out what to do, please don't forget the tax component. Talk to your tax advisor now and in the future as your financial situation changes and you receive monies to make sure that you're not going to get taxed suddenly. As always, we're here to help. Just give us a call.